Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there, correct? EMFs and EMRs, electronic magnetic frequencies, and electronic magnetic radiation. That's what this podcast is all about, getting the scoop from some great folks down in the States in Idaho. And I'm speaking with Jim from Idaho. So I would just like Jim to tell us exactly who you are and what you guys do, because it's amazing, and we've had a relationship for a lot of years. And for people out there that are seeing this, we've never met face to face. It's been on the phone and has been talking online. So this is pretty cool. This is pretty neat stuff. So take it away, Jim.
So my name is Jim Elvidge. I am now the general manager of Altera. I've been with Altera since 2019. Altera is a EMF protection company. They've been an innovator in EMF technology since 1997. Holds 44 patent placements. And I've been a user of Altera since 2006. So I met Kim Danduran, who's the founder, scientist behind Altera, back in 2006 through a mutual friend. He just mentioned these stickers. I was like, that's pretty brilliant. So I went out and met Kim, got a bunch of stickers, and been using all the products ever since, like religiously. So my kids now, they're older now, they're 20 and 22, but grew up around it. We've been using Altera products forever. And just a background, for me, coming into that, I've been a nutritional therapist since 2013. Grew up in a very holistic environment. My dad was a pretty cutting edge chiropractor. He wasn't just doing chiropractic. He was a pioneer back in the 50s, 60s, doing applied kinesiology and things like best technique and different energy techniques with chiropractic, which unfortunately, you don't see that a whole lot anymore. So
No,
I don't know.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we were always said it was a bit voodoo or whatever you want to call it back in the day, correct? And yeah, if you could speak a little bit about the history, because I had the honor to have a little podcast, one of the first ones I ever did with the owner Kim, and it was pretty amazing. And for years I've wanted to do this again, so finally I get to do that with you guys, and I want to do a bunch of these because it's one of those things. I call it the invisible hazards. We talked about our Bible for many, many years with Dr. George Carlo, and so many books talk about EMFs. I got the privilege of speaking with a doctor from Trent University in Canada, Magda Havis, and she's kind of our superhero in Canada for EMFs. My wife and I actually, when the wind turbines came into our area, we had spoke to Dr. Nina Pierpont in New York State, and she knew all about the wind turbine syndrome. She wrote the book on that. And if you go to windwatch.org, our radio show from back in 2008 is still on there for people to listen to if they want to. But it's these EMFs that people don't know about. So if you could go a little bit about the history of the company and what are EMFs, what are EMRs, and why are they a big deal, right?
Right. First of all, I want to introduce Samantha.
Hello, Greg. Nice to see you in person.
Yes, absolutely. Samantha, everybody that's watching us right now, so many talks with her over the phone and texting all these years. So it's great to see both of you. It's awesome.
Yes, thank you. Great to be here.
So when we talk about EMFs, a lot of people, think of EMFs as this, as the bad guy, these terrible things that, that hurt everyone. And the first thing I try to explain to all of our customers and anybody I talk to about is, you have to realize that EMFs exist everywhere. Every cell in your body has an electromagnetic field. From the sun, from the planet. Electromagnetic fields are natural, and over thousands and thousands of years, our bodies have adapted. They're in integrity with the natural EMFs of our surroundings, the EMFs that come from the sun, and that's filtered through our atmosphere. Now, when we talk about, man-made EMFs, now that's a different thing because our bodies haven't had time to adapt to artificial EMFs of electricity, the EMFs, the EMRs that we talk about. There's a different you can call it a signature, but when you're looking at the natural EMFs, when you're looking at the EMF spectrum, natural EMFs are soft, and they carry a wider spectrum to it. With these EMFs that we're dealing with, these artificial EMFs have these spikes. That's not in integrity with our natural EMFs, and that's why it causes cellular disruption. That's why we see the issues with DNA being able to wind and unwind, and actually repair themselves, because it inhibits that process because of these spikes and these artificial EMFs. And so Kim Danduran, who was the scientist, the founder, many years, and this goes way back. I mean, 30 plus years that he was first working in environmental cleanup, things, nuclear type of cleanup, cleaning lead out of soil. So he was already dealing with a lot of this stuff, and ended up seeing the issues with EMF in general, and just decided to really kind of focus his attention there. But what he was doing even prior to this kind of had scientists baffled, because the paramagnetic minerals that he was at the time experimenting with was able to pull lead out of soil and like literally make it disappear, which quantumly it's not a thing that really shouldn't happen. And it was baffling. But then that's where we get into frequencies, and we get into frequency therapy type of stuff, frequency therapeutics, when we start understanding that everything resonates at a frequency. These rare earth minerals, the formulas that we use is simply it's resonating at a specific type of frequency that's able to handle these. It interacts with the EMFs, which basically harmonizes them. It puts them back into integrity with our own EMFs. So then there's nothing gets affected, because our body's like, oh, it's okay, it's fine. Because what really affects us from these artificial EMFs, it's the stressors. Just like anything, when you're talking about nutrition or anything like that, it's not necessarily the chemicals or the elements, it's the stress that your body responds to. That's what creates disease and issues and energy blockages. Did you have something to say?
Well, I would just say, so I try to explain it to me like an admin, right? So when I'm explaining this, and with many of the conversations, we think about electricity systems, electrical systems, right? Our body is one of those. Everything in, on, and around the planet, everything in, on, and around our body is an electrical system. We think about compatibility. EMFs that are artificially created are simply just not compatible. It's like taking a 110 volt to a 220 electric system. So Altera's unique ability to essentially harmonize that, or become the converter, so our bodies recognize that without stress, and harmonizing and bringing that into integrity is the simplest way that I've been able to experience that with my own work, and share it with other people. It's just bringing that into compatibility with our own electrical system.
Yeah, that, and as people know, we're about 70% water, so a perfect conductor for electricity. So if it's out of sync, that's where harm happens, right? And just to add a little bit about what I do, since 2016, I've been doing cell well-being hair scans, and at the cellular level, I take 4 root bulbs from the back of your neck, and that's your DNA. So it's an extension of your DNA, and I have a 90-day report come back that I can tell my clients that, hey, this is going on, and I'm telling you, pretty much everybody has radiation and EMFs of some sort, and electrostatic a lot. I'm seeing more these days. But again, we're dealing with things that are invisible hazards, if you will, and they're fake. And they're actually they're hindering us, and our bodies have a hell of a time trying to get back to homeostasis. So if you guys can talk a little bit on how your stuff kind of does that, and the different products that you have, because I've done before and afters with the hair scans, and it's profound. It's profound because they feel better, and so you don't really need a test because they feel better. But I see it on the before and after hair tests, so it's amazing. And it's a test and everything. So go ahead.
It's interesting. I didn't realize you did that. First of all, second, we have another customer that maybe couple months ago maybe reached out to us, and she also does the hair scan, whatever the 4 letters stand for.
The cell well-being. That's the company, and it's bio hair scans. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, and she was telling us about, I don't know what it is, but wow, the hair scans, the before and after using Altera has just been profound. Which we need to get some of that on our website because we've never done the hair scan stuff.
But we'd like to.
Yeah, we'd like to for sure. And so last year, we started a series of testing down in Encinitas, California. Um, it didn't go so well only because the whole thing was skewed. I mean, there was really no one to blame, really, but there was, let's just say, yeah, there were some problems. But I mean, we did get some results from it. And one of the really interesting, because we're really trying to figure out how to do a type of testing that really gets down to the quantum science. I mean, because you can see the research on our site. There's DNA. You can do the DNA studies and all that stuff. You can do the dark field microscopy, which it's kind of like muscle testing in the science world. It's still skeptical and controversial and all that stuff. But when we see it, it's real time, and it doesn't. I mean, you really can't dispute it, but they find ways to dispute it. But we were looking at stuff, and one of the amazing things that kind of came up was, well, first of all, we were testing with the energy pillows, which all of our products use the same rare earth minerals. But the pillows in general, we were testing with one of the big needle movements, I guess you might say, is the cognizant response time in the brain, which was really interesting. Because it kind of baffled us for a moment because we're thinking, the pillows work great for sleeping. You kind of have to give it time because we get a lot of customers. Oh my God, I had the pillow and I had my dreams and blah, blah. It's like, well, just like anything else, you have to adjust to it because what it's doing is it's producing clarity. Your cognizant response time speeds up, and you have clarity. And these people who live in the fog most of their lives, all of a sudden get this clarity, and they're freaked out by it. It's like, we tell people, no, slow down because trust us, it'll get better.
It's kind of like the Matrix, right?
Yes,
exactly.
So when people ask about the products, I separate it into three separate categories. Essentially, you have your spatial devices, you have your personal protection, and then you have your supplements. At this level, they're all doing the same thing. They're just doing it in a slightly different way. So when we talk about the stickers, the USBs, and the car USB, right? These are protecting the spaces that we're in. The sticker, wherever your phone goes, the EMF, that frequency emits in 3 feet in any direction. And so you're essentially creating a bubble, for lack of a more scientific term. And this is dealing with your home and the spaces that we work and reside. And then the pillows and the pendants, our newest product, which is the Altera spray, the Aura spray. These are really enhancing your personal space, protecting your personal body. And then you have the supplements. So when Altera is neutralizing and bringing into integrity these artificial EMFs from the external, internal, when you're taking EMF, when you're taking Enhance internally, it's doing that, but from the inside out. So when I think about all the different products, we really separate them into those categories. The next immediate question comes, well, if I'm wearing a pendant, do I really need a pillow? Or if I have a whole house USB, then why would I need a pendant? Well, one, we are going to leave our homes and we're going to leave the places that we work, right? Once we leave those spaces that are protected, we can't control what other people are doing or not doing to mitigate that risk. And so having the personal protection in that way really just serves as a barrier wherever else you're going. And then depending on what other parts of your health protocol you're already focusing on, the Enhance taken internally is interesting, not only because it's helping to remove toxins from EMFs, but other things that we're taking, supplements and these types of things. What studies showed with that was that it was not only taking toxins out of those things, but it was enhancing the things that it was originally meant to do in the first place.
The nutraceutical part.
Right? So when we think about that, if everything is energy and everything is a flow of energy and EMFs are creating blockages in that energetic system, Once those blockages are removed, much to Jim's point earlier about dreams and some of these things that people will kind of at first be put off by, once that energy starts to flow freely again, all kinds of things can start happening. And it takes different time for everyone. So there is, for many people, there's an acclimation process. I was certainly one of those as a customer to start. But I had known the founder and his family since I was 13 and was reintroduced back to them in 2020. And so it's been quite a journey. But the product it's used in a lot of different ways. But the best way to do it is kind of break it into those categories and start with the things that are creating the most, right? Wreaking the most havoc, which for most of us is the devices that we're using all the time. And then it's protecting the spaces that we work and reside, and then adding that personal protection, and then using the enhanced as part of your supplement protocol.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and then just to kind of add to that just a little bit, so how we with the powder, when people ask about that, because the powder it has the ability it neutralizes the internal EMFs. EMFs get trapped in your body mostly due to heavy metal toxicity. I mean, that's not the whole thing, but heavy metal toxicity has a lot to do with it, and vice versa, because heavy metals are attracted to EMF and EMF are attracted to heavy metals. When you're neutralizing those effects of those toxins, their bond sort of releases, and it allows your body to then release, to release those heavy metals. And so, I'm always clear with people, it's not a detoxifier, it's not a chelation, because the powder itself isn't chelating heavy metals from your body. It's producing the atmosphere for your body to naturally do what it's supposed to do and what it used to do a couple hundred years ago. I mean, people drank water with lead in it. It wasn't a huge deal. Your body naturally used to chelate excess heavy metals that it no longer needed. And that's, and especially in my experience as a nutritional therapist, I've never, it's not that I'm not a fan of heavy metal detoxes. It's just that they're complicated, and you really have to pay attention, because your clients, you start getting rid of too much copper, too much iron, too much zinc, you got a problem, And that's where when I came to Altera, that was honestly the thing that really captured my attention. Was, wow, I mean, what a way to sort of basically do somewhat of a heavy metal detox, without taking the detox. It's putting your body in a place that it can actually start naturally doing it on its own, like it's supposed to do. And that was one of the main things that really caught my attention when I came to Altera.
Yeah, that's amazing. I tell people, just like you said, 200 years ago we had a cleaner earth, and that's where I really start about EMFs and EMRs. I always tell people that we had about 5,000 of those around us. Geopathic stress, solar rays, our body can handle that. We have a 50 trillion cell body, and now we have about 40 trillion EMFs and EMRs around us. So it's just, we're being bombarded 24/7. And so in 2004, when Kim and I got really introduced to this book, there's scientists that came up from California to Toronto, and very profound what they said. I mean, it was really cool what they were saying. And they said that if you're being bombarded 24/7 from these EMFs and EMRs, your body doesn't know what's friend or foe. So you're not going to be able to get all the nutrition into the body as it needs it. And the bigger thing, though, is it will not allow those toxins to leave the body, which you were just talking about. So if we can get a bubble around us, so to speak, and get all these parameters taken care of, then that invisible hazard that is actually bouncing around us 24/7, our body can relax, say, thank you, now I can do my job. Right. And I see that with the hair scans. And you guys are for sure seeing that with testimonials upon testimonials, because I mean, Kim had tons of them back in the day. So from there to now, wow. I mean, I can imagine you guys have thousands, and you just have to be careful.
Yeah. And
right.
Exactly. No, exactly. That's why, Kim, Kim would say, because when we talked about like the neutralizer stickers on your cell phone, And your cell phone alone, yeah, it could be pretty dangerous, especially the way some people use them up to their ears constantly and stuff like that. And you put a neutralizer sticker. Well, I'm going to say 2. We really recommend 2 stickers on your cell phone because we use them so much.
Okay.
But now you actually have it's not saying that it's making the cell phone healthy, that you should have it on you at all times, but actually, in fact, though, having it around you now it's almost the opposite. It's actually because you have the stickers near you constantly.
Yeah.
So it has that opposite effect. Yeah, it's pretty profound when you look at everything, and the EMFs, honestly. Kim never really talked about it, but I think he felt it, that the EMF side of things was just kind of a happy accident, because what we use does so much more than that.
Yeah.
EMF is EMF protection is sort of a byproduct of the potential of the Altera powder. Yeah.
Which
And
I
that, and
want
that,
to know more about that, because I didn't really get into it with Kim ever, and I really haven't talked to you guys about that. The other thing that I do when I started in 2016 too is I do vibroacoustic therapy, and
Yeah.
so knowing that between 20 and 100 hertz, different vibrations heal us, different vibrations harm us, and again, it goes right hand in hand with everything that we're talking about. So yeah, if you can delve a little bit more into the powder, because I would like to know more about that, and I want to start telling more people about that, because it's very, very important to get all those aspects working in concert together.
So I'm curious, as we start, to ask a question with a question. Have you used Altera in your acoustic sessions? If has Altera been present, and have you used it as integrated Altera
like
at all?
maybe the Altera pillar or anything.
Yeah.
Pillow is sitting right underneath that vibroacoustic chair all the time.
That's
100%.
fantastic.
100%. Yeah.
So, I think about it in this way, and that's that, it's the EMFs they're the most present, right? That what they're doing is they're creating distortion, right? We think about a radio station, a clear signal that the tune sounds great. You love the song, the next song comes on. And as you start to move out of that area, distortion comes in, and it's white noise, and all of a sudden communication is breaking down. What I have found, and the clearest way that I can put it, is Altera is that tuner. When we're talking about neutralizing toxins, and now we take this into a much broader concept of frequencies and communication and clarity of mind, of body, mind, spirit. Altera, especially as I've used it in my energetics practice, it creates it's a stabilizer in the easiest way that I've been able to say it. Testimonials with people that come out of sessions, it's one of the first things they ask, what is this?